Today we'll be assembling arrows that are legal for SCA archery. This is not period arrows, these are the general division, open division. So first of all, you have to buy stuff. So I bought shafts, tips or points, and nocks. Yeah, that's better. Now, the important thing about buying these things, they have to be the same measurements. So, what I mean by the same measurements is that the diameter, let me take this off, of one of these shafts has a certain measurement here. And it could be 5/16, 11/32, and a couple others. These I believe are all 5/16. So that's the measurement from the diameter of the width of the shaft. So these are pretty small, pretty thin. Okay, so the nocks and the tips have to fit on the shaft. So step one is measuring the shaft. So we have an arrow here. Luckily, I was given an arrow to make sure that I have the right size for shaft. So it looks like this shaft is about, I would say, 1.5 to 2 inches longer, which is perfect. So that means that when we finish it by putting stain on it and putting the sealer on it, then you could actually have a part that is not affected by it. So we'll measure it, we'll mark them. Actually, first we're going to sand them. These things feel pretty good though. Make sure they're straight. So how I make sure they're straight is I look down the shaft through my eye and I turn it, and then you can see little bends. And you warm them up with your hands as much as you can, and you bend. Just a slight bend. Don't bend too much or you'll break it. And I believe his lordship Baron Christoph, loves to say that these are bumping the shaft, is what it's called. So you got to make sure you know where the bend is and bend it the opposite way. Okay, so I'm gonna still use a little bit of sandpaper. I have this is 220 grain, but this is pretty fine sandpaper. You don't need anything huge, just to get the oops, just to get the burrs and the extra stuff off. But these shafts seem very, actually it warms it up too. You can barrel the shafts if you want to. I always use a cloth to take off the excess. You can barrel the shafts. Barreling the shafts means the middle of the shaft is thicker than the ends of the shaft. And some people really like that. Some people think that it makes it fly better. Some people don't. It's pretty much preference. I usually just keep it straight as I can. It's still a little bent. Anyway, so that's the first step. The second step after sanding is putting a stain on it to make the color match. Now, this is the stain I have. It's pretty close to it, I think. I hope. There you go. I hope it's pretty close to it. I'm doing the arrows for a friend, actually a housemate in my household, and I will be try to do step by step so people can see. But that's the first step. Now I ordered these from Three Rivers Archery. Lancaster Archery is another one, and there's many online to see. Now when you order them, you have to make sure that these shafts are spined to your bow. Now spined means that if your bow has a draw weight, which means how much pounds pressure you need to draw to full length um, is it has a number. Usually it's 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, etc. Sometimes it's in the middle. So these are splined or spined, not splined, spined to it. So this spine means the bendability of it. So if you have a lighter bow, like a 25 or 30 pound bow, like these are for a 30 to 35 pound bow, um, it's fairly flexible. And the higher you go, the less flexible it is. Because when you shoot and let go of the arrow, the spring pushes the back of the bow, making the archer's paradox, which means that it'll actually bend back and forth as it comes off the bow. If it's not splined to the right bow, it may do this, it may break. That's very seldom happens, but it definitely might wiggle or might fishtail. I'm sorry, porpoise tail, might fishtail as you're shooting it, and um, that affects the trajectory of the arrow at longer distances. At 20 yards, usually it may affect it a little bit, but it's possible that it may affect it a lot. So you want to try to get an arrow that is spined. I keep saying that wrong. Spined the to your bow. Okay, so that is step one. So we're going getting the right shafts, making sure everything measures the length, and also sanding, and then we'll be staining them later. Okay.